The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good afternoon, South Florida. Welcome to another Ask the Experts, where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I hope you all are surviving the weather today. It's been on the windy side, a little rain, and we're getting some more cold weather, what we call cold weather. Hey, I'm not trying to put a downer on anybody because the show we have tonight, believe it or not, could brighten your day. Once in a while, we do get in trouble. We get past due. We don't do our taxes the way they should be done. And then we bring in an expert, one of the finest tax relief experts. He is an attorney. Tax relief, things that you can do, and just if you've got a friend or you have a family member who has a tax situation, you want to tell them that they need to watch tonight's show or listen to tonight's show, w4cy.com. That's www.w4cy.com. Let me introduce you to our expert, one of the finest tax relief attorneys in the United States. Good afternoon, Kevin Benjamin.
Hello, Steve. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Now you're at home today, right?
Yeah. Holidays coming up. Working out of
Good for you. Good for you. You know, Kevin, it used to be if you had a problem with the IRS, it was like taboo. I mean, you were embarrassed. But it's not like that anymore, is it?
Well, since everyone has a problem with the IRS, it's not that anymore because everyone's, simpatico, so to speak. People, in this day and age, IRS, debt issues, post-pandemic. I mean, since the pandemic, people have other problems. This is not, plus with the IRS getting $80 billion from the government to beef them up the next couple of years and hiring a lot more enforcement actions and agents, stuff like that. A lot more people are going to be touched by the IRS. So it's a lot more common among people discussing among themselves. They have an IRS problem. There's no stigma on that. It's just the IRS trying to collect on you.
Kevin, what does that mean with all these new agents that are going to be coming aboard?
It means they're coming for you.
I mean, are they just going to be going after the rich? That's not true, is it?
No, that's not true. And the rich have they have the big lawyers anyway, getting all the loopholes. That's a whole different ballgame. And also, what is defined as rich? From what we think is rich and what the IRS thinks is rich. Is a whole different ballgame. Basically, I mean, some of the money's going to computer systems and upgrading their stuff, which is good, but they're hiring a lot more agents, so a lot more collections, and a lot.
Does that mean they're going to be answering their phones now?
They've been answering them faster. Still not always answering, depending if you're calling what party you're calling and system you're calling, but they're getting a little better. The hold times are down. That's good. And that should keep improving because that's one of the issues. I mean, even though we're professionals, we got to wait on hold too, sometimes. So
How do you get a hold of them? I mean, do you have a special phone number for them? How do you reach them?
well, there's different departments, so it depends where you are in the stage, where you may have assigned a revenue officer directly. So, or maybe you're just in the automatic collection system. Or maybe I'm calling the helpline or something like that. So there's different numbers, but there used to be a service that we would use to get on hold for you, and to wait for you. And they kind of started shutting that down last year a little bit, and so that was made a little easier to get on the. Well, I mean, you still be on hold, but at least someone's waiting on hold for you, so you can then get some work done and not lose your place in line. But that's how it works. Yeah.
Kevin, the name of your company is Noble Tax Relief, but you also are a bankruptcy attorney.
Yes, I have a company, a law firm called Benjamin Legal Services. It's Florida and Illinois law firm, a consumer law firm. We help businesses as well, but a lot of it that's how we got started with the Noble Tax Relief. Just doing people, getting them out of debt or restructuring their debt. A lot of people who filed bankruptcy had tax debt, and people thought tax debt cannot be discharged, federal IRS taxes. And it's true, but it's not, so there's exceptions to it. And a lot of people didn't know that, but a lot of people were filing, not because the IRS, you have other problems. So then if the debt was not discharged, we got rid of everything else. And we started just, finishing up and, working with people's IRS debts. And it turns out it's very similar to bankruptcy or Chapter 13, restructuring, or 11, and how they analyze the bankruptcy, analyze their income, your means test, your budget. And it's very similar with the IRS, because at the end of the day, it's simply an exercise of cash flows. It doesn't matter what you owe. I mean, it's scary. You owe 5, 10, 100, hundreds of thousands of dollars in IRS taxes. How are you going to pay it? Well, sometimes you can't, and that's okay, because that's where the offer and compromise comes in, or the different streamline programs for it, or an offer or an installment agreement, or a partial pay installment agreement, or can you discharge it in bankruptcy? Because at the end of the day, the IRS, they want to resolve the tax issue with you. And if you can't pay, it's the exercise in cash flows. What's your assets, your liabilities, your income, your expenses, and then there's deductions and things we could do. It's really more of a formula. What is there to collect, and over how long? So when you make an offer, if you're presenting the offer as this what you can afford to pay, this is my assets, I can't afford to pay the $500,000 or 20 grand, whatever it is. Everyone's situation is different. They'll accept it. Okay. And there's now whether it's an installment agreement or offering compromise or full pay, partial pay, that's what you have the professionals for as well. But people don't realize the IRS will settle your debt. Now, they're not going to settle the debt magically, like, hey, you got a lawyer, let's just settle. We're magic attorneys. I'm saying it's just the exercise in cash flows and negotiation on the assets and what you could, get. There's gray areas. And then there's also different levels with the IRS as you're selling and representing a client, right? So maybe you're going to appeals or up the chain, which could be the whole case being turned down, or it's simply some expenses being denied, which if we got would affect the offer or the installment agreement in our client's favor. So that's why you have a professional. But the IRS, it's scary to owe the money, right? But if you have a professional representing you, it's not so scary. Our job is to protect your assets. Get the IRS stopped, protect your assets, analyze it, and start working it out. And you'd be surprised. They actually are happy to do so. When you're obviously, I'm assuming everyone's cooperating with me as a client. They're not hiding things from me. We're not hiding things from the IRS. That's not what we're about. But we are about protecting your assets and getting a resolution before you're levied or liened, or if you are levied and liened, to get the lien release or the levy stopped. And the levy is when they take money or property, and then sometimes you can get that back. But not now. It's obviously that the farther down the road you go, there's more work involved and harder to do. But the IRS wants to be a priority, and through us or your representative, they are.
Well, Kevin, let me ask him. Someone last night called right after the show, and he wanted me to ask you, what is Fresh Start?
Yeah. So, well, it's kind of a gimmick. It's years
good.
old. I mean, a lot of the national companies it's a fresh start. Okay, it means they're going to, what I just said, they're going to work with you. There's streamlined programs. There's other programs. I mean, if you owe like 50,000 maybe or less, and you're self-employed and a certain amount of I lost my train of thought. A certain amount of taxes you owed or income loss. There's different programs you could apply for. In reality, that's what I was trying to say is they want to give you the fresh start, right? And resolve the issue through these different programs. So everyone's going to qualify for something. Now, if you're less taxes or less income, there's different streamlined programs like with the Fresh Start, like you don't need to show documentation, stuff like that, a little easier to get it done. But basically it means the IRS, they want to work with you is really what it means.
Do they really?
They do. They do.
Okay.
I mean, if you're, first of all, again, they're hiring a lot more agents. So right now, a lot of them are new, and they're reading the teleprompter, whatever they're doing. I mean, it's not always so easy because if you get a more experienced person, sometimes you just cut to the chase. Otherwise, some people are still, making their bones, so to speak, or looking at, they don't know the flexibility. They're a little more rigid. They don't understand something. They even say things that are actually incorrect. So you're kind of educating them as they're educating you when you're trying to negotiate. You're trying to establish a rapport. It's not, I mean, we have a litigation background, obviously, being lawyers and stuff like that, and we can go to the U.S. tax court and everything. But it's not we're not in tax court. We're at this stage, it's negotiation, and it's paperwork, and it's a formula, and it's still documents and discovery, so to speak. But you're really just trying to like negotiate numbers. It's hard to explain because you want to show a set number that we could agree on, and then there's different programs will go for that and how long you're going to pay it back and to get it accepted. Because anybody can make an offer. You can make an offer, you make an offer, compromise offer. Doesn't mean it's to get accepted. You go to these national companies, they're pounding the airwaves, radio. Every time you call them, it's an offer and compromise. Really? How do you know? You haven't done the analysis yet. You know what I'm saying? So you call me or someone who does this more for a living, not on a big. There's no telemarketing company with us, or you're going to deal with me. There's other people as well, obviously, firms that are real. But I want to analyze the situation.
Kevin, what you do, I really think what you do is you give a person a chance to make a level playing field, because these people at the IRS are very good at what they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you have a professional representing you, because you don't want to do it yourself.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get across.
You don't want to do it yourself. I mean, it's scary, and you don't know how to do it. I mean, this is what we do, right? You know what I'm saying? So you don't know how to negotiate with them. You don't know how to analyze the assets, how to get more or less, how to play with the budget, convince them, different levels, appeal, deadlines, and stuff like that. Also, each tax year has a collection statute expiration date, CSED, right? So what's the expiration date of each tax year as we're trying to resolve it, right? So for example, if the CSED's coming up, we may be slowing the negotiation down, you know what I'm saying? Because if it expires, it's good. That's the best I could do is get you out of it for that. So there's 3 phases basically. The first phase is investigation and discovery. Let's do a tax transcript analysis on all the tax years you have. It's like being a lawyer. What does the IRS know? Where are you in the collection process? Is there a final a notice of intent to levy or final notice there? Are they referring you to criminal, that kind of stuff? Because oftentimes the client doesn't know. They don't open the mail, or they got some letters and they're all stressed out. Their heads going everywhere. So let's get the facts, like a lawyer would, right? Get the facts. Where are we? Next stage is compliance. Have you filed your return, right? Now, you may have filed them. That's why they owe the money. If you haven't filed, they're estimating the money, or maybe they filed an SFR, substitute for return, which is, a lot more than you probably really do. So where are we in the stage? Are we compliant, or what years do we have to help you get compliant with? Or if they filed an SFR, obviously have someone redo, because sometimes their estimates or what they file is always going to be higher than what you really owe, right? And sometimes it's dramatically higher. So sometimes just getting compliant knocks it down. This is a lot more than you think, and then it's very, very, very manageable. Also, there's programs to do like penalty abatement, or there's first-time penalty abatement. There's other ways to try to abate it. Not always. Some is easy, some is not. And then there's analyzing for the tax resolution. Is it going to be an offer in compromise, an installment agreement, what they call a currently not collectible, CNC, or just maybe trying to abate the penalties. Currently not collectible means that there's a hardship and you can't afford to pay anything right now. So even though you're all stressed out and getting these notice of intents to levy, or they lien you, or whatever they're doing, you think they're going to take your house, or gosh, if you qualify for that, that means your payment is zero for now. Okay. Interest, may still accrue, and we're going to have to resolve it eventually, but at least on the short term, your payment's zero. And then when we monitor your situation, it's also maybe take you bankrupt, actually, if you need it, I'm saying, but we could actually relieve your immediate concern, because if the IRS agrees to that, they're off your back for at least now. Then the main programs, offering compromising installment agreements, there's different different kinds. There's offering compromise, for example, doubt to collectability, how much can you pay? Or there's one, doubt to liability. Maybe our client's saying, I don't owe the money. So if I'm doubt to collectability, I'm saying I owe the money, but I can only pay X, and I want to do this over 6 months, whatever, or shorter on one lump sum on a offer and compromise. Installment agreement could be 100%, or it could be a partial pay installment, where you're paying just partially, and the rest of it's going to go away. So then there's different, how much do you owe, depending on the level you owe and stuff like that, whether it's streamlined or not, whether you need documents or not, how much supporting documents you need. It gets more complicated, but the bottom line is those are the general programs, and there's like the sub programs inside that, and that's the resolution end of it. And then hopefully it's a good resolution for you. Otherwise, you go to the appeals process, or take you to the tax court. Not everyone go to tax court. I mean, to even represent you, you got to be a CPA, an attorney, or what they call an EA, which is an enrolled agent with the Internal Revenue Service, which is you got to qualify for that, right? It's not easy to get. Someone who's educated on the IRS stuff. If you're a CPA or lawyer, they'll talk to you. Otherwise, they won't even let you represent somebody, right? So, so now, but even of all those categories, not everyone could go to U.S. tax court for you. I can. Not even a lawyer could go to U.S. tax court unless you belong to the U.S. tax court, and I do. Now, I'm not saying everyone's, most cases I'm going there, so hopefully you're not. Some people call, they have a criminal situation. We're also lawyers, what I'm saying?
Kevin, let me jump in and give the name of Kevin's firm is Noble Tax Relief. The phone number there is 312-489-8000. 312-489-8000. Kevin, what was the purpose of the government saying that these new agents are going to be carrying a gun? What was the purpose of that?
No one's coming to your house with a gun. I mean, they're allowed to carry guns, I guess, but I don't know. No one's coming. No one's coming to shoot you. Even oftentimes now, even like especially during the pandemic, a lot of the on-site stuff wasn't even happening. Okay, so owing money, no one's shooting you.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, what do you do? Because you've got so many tools in your bag. What do you do if someone doesn't have the money to pay their back taxes?
You settle. That's what we do. We resolve it. Tax resolution, either settlement or paying over time or partial pay, or pay nothing on a currently non-collectible. Because that's the point. Again, I want to bring, it's not a matter of you owe this money and we're going to get every nickel. Well, if you could afford every nickel and you have a lot of assets, they're going to get every nickel. Okay.
Right.
But if that's the case, maybe talking chapter 13, chapter 11, and stretching it out and keeping all your assets, which I could do for you, but that's a different ballgame, right? Otherwise, see, everyone has their own opinion because, if the IRS is after you, you're really more concerned about that one than what they do with everybody else. And, everyone tells you who doesn't know things, your friends and people go on Google, oh my God, they're going to do this or this, or take a gun to your house, all that kind of stuff. It's not happening, right? So at the end of the day is the IRS has a mandate to resolve tax issues and to collect, right? But if you can't pay, which is what you're saying, then you can't pay. And my job is to show you can't pay, or I can only pay X. And if we go through the requirements and the negotiation and work with the IRS to justify that, they will accept less. That's their mandate. You can't get blood out of a stone.
Yes.
Owing money is not criminal unless you committed some fraud or something like that. I'm saying just owing the money in general is not like not a jail thing. It's civil, actually. And you can't get blood out of a stone, so to speak. Also, depending on the taxes, maybe I could discharge them in bankruptcy for you. Not that nobody wants to do that, you know what I'm saying, but depending on the situation, when it's X amount of dollars, you may say, hey, am I going to lose any assets? I can just do it that way and get rid of it. But then again, we analyze you no matter what. We always analyze you for what are your options, the pros and cons of each, and what's going on, because it's part of the discovery intake process, investigation process. Are they dischargeable, or which tax year is? And if not dischargeable, when would it be? So now we know. Well, as we negotiate, right? You want to have information's key, right? So I want to know. I'm not bluffing. I want to know. Hey, I can always take a bankrupt, or I can always do this and that. I'm saying, or if I'm negotiating, I know some of the taxes are going to fall off in a month, or some could be dischargeable later on. And as the process moves on with the IRS, I have the information to adjust my offers, right, or for the client before, or help them over the goal line, so to speak, and to know with certainty what we can afford and what we can't, because it's easier to stand up to the IRS or appeal it or go up the chain when I have the information. I know I'm right. You know what I'm saying? So because that's all it comes down to. We're not going to be guessing, appealing things and throwing things at the wall. We're not going to be. I'm not going to put you in a program that's not going to work. Everyone's going to call. When people call, they don't know what they want. They want it resolved. Is what they want.
Yes.
They hear on the news, offering compromise and settle, or someone settling for pennies. Give me that one. Well, maybe you qualify for that, but maybe you don't. I'm saying, but there's still ways to resolve it for less than 100%, because if you can't pay, it's just an exercise in cash flows, and they will accept what you could reasonably afford to pay if it's true.
What is the difference, Kevin, in a person who does not file their taxes and a person who files but doesn't pay? What is the difference? They're both criminal, aren't they?
No, I mean there's a failure to pay penalty, right? And there's interest. So you filed your taxes but you didn't pay, right? So failure to pay after a deadline. It's a half of 1% per month, which is a lot, up to 25%, and then the interest is half of that. So it accrues pretty quick. But sometimes you don't have to file your taxes. I'm saying sometimes you don't make enough money or you didn't qualify. Now you could actually file your return, just it's a one-page return basically, or you don't have to because you didn't meet the minimum requirement. So, but not filing and not paying, can it be criminal? Depends on the situation, right? Not everyone actually even knows. I mean, there's married people. There's what they call innocent spouse program. A lot of spouses, they just sign, but it's a joint return. So one person's making the money, the other one's signing it, but now you're liable for the whole thing because you filed a joint return. But hey, the spouse had no clue what's going on. I'm not involved in the business. It's a whole different way to fight that. And it's not necessarily criminal. Criminal, being knowingly doing something and committing fraud and documenting things, that leads to the criminal referral. And that's the criminal investigation side of the IRS, which you don't want to get there. But if you are there already, call me because we got to help you still.
Right. Now, do you represent clients that are on the criminal side also?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're lawyers. I'm a trial lawyer. I'm a member of the trial bar. I have trial experience, and I've done some criminal cases in my life too. And depending on the case, whether I'm doing it myself or we're working with a team of lawyers, depending on how much problems you have,
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, we're able to take care of you for everything, So, and that's the whole point. I mean, we're a smaller boutique style firm. I got a lot of experience in bankruptcy law, trial work, being trial bar, U.S. tax court. I'm a member of the U.S. Supreme Court. Never had a case before. I don't know if I even want one. It'd be kind of cool to argue one time, but it'd be a ton of work. You know what I'm saying? So I just watched those on TV. We've done appeals, and most of my trial stuff is federal, and the IRS is federal. We do state stuff too, but mostly federal. I mean, bankruptcy is federal. The IRS is federal. We're more federal lawyers. U.S. tax court's federal. If you're in the criminal side, it could be state. We help people also with state taxes. It's a separate file because if you owe the IRS, that's federal. If you live in Florida and you owe, state of Florida, then that's a different animal. If you're in Illinois, Illinois Department of Revenue, so maybe you don't owe the IRS, but you owe the Department of Revenue or something like that, or Department of State.
Do you expect the IRS is going to start sending out collection notices right after the first of the year?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they just announced that. So what they're doing is they're going to send out a couple of things. They're trying to tell you that they are trying to offer you relief, but that's limited to 2020 and 2021. All right, they think 4.7 million people or businesses could get relief. That's simply some penalties and interest could be abated even automatically. Now that would help, because so what happened was during the pandemic, they stopped sending out collection notices. So as things were increasing, you normally get another notice and you start seeing the bill, but they stopped doing that. So, people are going to be shocked as they start getting their new bills. So they're going to try to give you some relief for just those 2 years. Okay. However, failure to pay or something like that. I mean, there's still exceptions and things you got to resolve, but it's really only those 2 years. And it's not going to, they're not going to knock off your tax, right? But they will reduce it on some time, which actually will help. I'm saying, especially if it's automatic in some cases. Now we're talking this number down to this number right away, more manageable, get things done. Then what they're doing is the pandemic relief is over. I mean, as far as the holdback, right? So they have the new agents. So they're offering some relief that way. But yeah, starting in January, they'll start pounding away with collections again, collection notices, and they're coming for you. So, they're saying, I'm coming for you. I'll give you a little break on these 2 tax years, but we're coming, and we're coming full force because they got the money behind them. And but that's okay, because you just want to resolve it. So, they're coming, I say for you, for everybody. But if they got you, you don't care they get everybody else. You're just worried about your tax situation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And again, it's just a matter of resolving it with them on the cash flow analysis and your reasonable ability to pay, irrespective of the overall number. That's tax resolution. That's how you resolve it. And the IRS will take less if.
Kevin, our time's really gotten away from us. Give everybody your phone number.
312-489-8000. That's the, based in Chicago. That's the Chicago office. 312-489-8000 or info@nobletaxrelief.com, or just go to the website, info or nobletaxrelief.com. Consultation's free. Happy to talk with you. You can schedule an appointment, and I'll be the one you'll be consulting with personally.
Kevin will be back with us again next month. Kevin, have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. We'll see you again next month. That
Thanks,
is Kevin Benjamin, Noble Tax Relief. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
Hello, Tampa. Hello, Jacksonville, Orlando. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We're talking taxes today. You get behind on those taxes. You know what? We can show you how to get out of the dark. I've got one of the greatest experts in the field of tax relief. He's an attorney out of Chicago. I've known about Kevin for a long time. And what's so great about him is just about for anything, he's got the right tools in his bag. Welcome, Kevin Benjamin.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Kevin, what made you have a big bankruptcy practice. What made you get into tax relief also?
Because the people are in debt and IRS is debt. So basically, I've been doing bankruptcy law for over 30 years, well over 30 years. And people have all kinds of situations, right? There's different kinds of chapters. That's a different show for bankruptcy, but you resolve debt, and IRS is debt. And in bankruptcy, there's secured debt, unsecured debt, or unsecured debt priority or general priority, and some are dischargeable or not, et cetera, right? So a lot of times people would file bankruptcy and they have IRS debt, but that wasn't the reason they're filing. They have a bunch of reasons, or we're discharging a lot of debt for them. So when the case is over, the IRS would come back. So when you file the case, you get a federal court order. It's called the automatic stay. All creditors, including the IRS, can't do anything, right? And the IRS will send you a letter. Hey, we acknowledge the automatic stay. When the case is over, we'll be back. And then they are back, right? So people will get some relief. But when the case is over, they're out of a lot of other debt. Their budget's different now. And now they only have the non-dischargeable debt or maybe the priority debt like the IRS. So now it's a matter of how do we resolve that? And, having resolved everything else, it was easier to resolve with the IRS because no other money's going anywhere else. And you also could kind of show a hardship. They just filed bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people still have debt. So we wound up resolving the IRS debt directly, right? So that's tax resolution. So eventually we started Noble Tax Relief because that company is just a business that only focuses on that. I'm still a tax lawyer, it's still me, you know what I'm saying? But Noble Tax Relief doesn't do, anything else besides tax resolution. As a tax lawyer with Noble Tax Relief or Benjamin Legal Services, if you did need to file bankruptcy to discharge debt, because people don't realize you can discharge IRS debt sometimes, right? So if you do, I still could do it. I just do them under the law firm. But Noble Tax, we're talking to people that have IRS or state, they maybe state taxes they owe too. We can help with that. But mostly it's IRS debt, federal. And we're simply focused on getting the IRS off their back, protecting people's assets, resolving the tax issue, even at less than 100%, and having people just be relieved. That's all.
True that not all lawyers can handle tax relief. You can because you're basically trained in that area.
Yeah. So basically, the IRS will only allow representation. You file a power of attorney, right? And they will only accept the power of attorney if you're a lawyer, a CPA, or what they call an enrolled agent, an EA, which is somebody who's got some education and passed some tests about the IRS stuff, so they know the IRS knows that they know what they're doing, right? But not every CPA and lawyer know tax resolution, because just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean that you have any experience or you know what you're doing. But being a lawyer will allow you to be on the power of attorney. So yes, and then in our case, we're a little different. I have a lot of experience in bankruptcy law, so not that anyone's coming to me through Noble Tax Relief to file a bankruptcy, but my job is, I'm still a lawyer, right? Whether
Yes.
it's a law firm or Noble Tax, to personally analyze your situation. Everyone's situation is a little different. Some are a lot different, right? This is not a national firm where they try to pretend like it's a cookie cutter situation. Everyone's offering compromise, sales center, marketing guys. No, it's law, right? So we are basically, what is your situation? What are your option or options, the pros and cons of each, help you make an informed decision. You may have several options, okay? And then, there's planning. Which one are we going to do? And then analyze. There's 3 phases to tax resolution. The first one is your discovery or investigative stage, right? Get the IRS tax transcripts, analyze them. What for each tax year, right? What do you owe? What stage are you in? Where collection notices are taken? Where are there liens on the property? Are you about to be? Because the clients oftentimes don't even have a clue. They don't know. They haven't opened the mail. They don't know what's going on. Their heads are spinning. So we'll get the facts. We're lawyers. Let's get the facts, right? So now we know what the IRS knows. We know what we know. Plus, we have our own questionnaire intake with you, and we're getting in the case, right? So now we have that. Now it's stage 2, compliance. What tax years do you owe? Have you filed? Because you got to be compliant, right? So let's help you get compliant, whether we're getting you somebody or I can work with your own CPA, whatever, to file certain tax years. Did the IRS, maybe they gave some estimates. Maybe the IRS did what's called an SFR, substitute for return, where they just did it for you. And trust me, you're going to owe a lot of money if they did it for you, right? So oftentimes what happens when that happens, though, people get shocked, right? Hey, I don't know all that money. Well, maybe you don't. So now let's get compliance, right? So as you redo the taxes and you file the ones that are for real, maybe all that extra money goes away. Because you're right, maybe you don't owe it. So maybe, first of all, maybe that resolves. Maybe it resolves. Maybe you don't even need me anymore. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you knocked out the fluff, so to speak, and now we can roll up our sleeves and start working with the real numbers. So investigation, discovery, compliance. What's the real number? What tax years are we really working on? Because it's not a matter that people call, I owe 50 grand, 100 grand. That's true, but how many tax years? Because every tax year is its own. It's not its own case, but it's its own animal. Because there's what they call the CSED, right? The collection expiration date, right? Collection statute expiration date, the IRS. Every tax year, it's 10 years to collect. So depending on where you are on the collection statute, right? Some of those may just drop off, or if we're negotiating certain taxes, maybe we want to try to apply certain taxes to the newest taxes, so the old ones get dropped off, but maybe the IRS catches that. So it's a game. But basically, every tax year is its own. Every tax year is that tax year dischargeable in bankruptcy. Doesn't mean you got to file bankruptcy. That's not why you're calling me, right? But can you, right? And because sometimes people have so much tax that they said, I can just get rid of it, do it. Okay, fine. Whatever you need, right? But also, oftentimes, the tax debt, it's not all dischargeable or all not, it's partially. So we got to analyze these tax year, not just for the statute limitations, but also is it dischargeable, or if not, when? So we know all our facts. It's like trying a case. You get your blue board up there, your whiteboard, and you start charting things and where are we? And then we do our financial analysis with you, because it's really more of it's tax resolution. It's an exercise in financials, exercise in cash flows, right? Assets, liabilities, income, expenses. What can you reasonably afford to pay the IRS? And a lot of people don't realize that. Oh my God, I owe 100 grand. I'm never going to be able to pay it. Well, if that's true, good news. You're not, right? So the IRS will accept a resolution, because their mandate is to resolve the tax issues, not to get every dime. Get every dime if you reasonably have it, right? So if you're hiding assets, something that's going to be criminal. That's when you have the criminal investigation department. That's the one also, by the way, when you mentioned in some other show, those are the ones that carry guns. It's like the criminal division.
How far back can they go, Kevin?
10 years.
Okay.
On the collection statutes?
Yes.
It's 10 years statute.
Okay. I got to tell you something, Kevin, that I've learned from doing your show. And I don't know if you realize you have this gift, but I would think a person who owes money to the IRS or who hasn't filed tax returns is probably always looking over their shoulder. And they have a lot of pressure on them, probably sleepless nights. I got to tell you, if you, Kevin Benjamin, are representing them, that is all going to go away. You have this way about you that it doesn't matter what's been done in the past, we're going to get it resolved. And I got to tell you, to me, that would take so much pressure off of me, and not having to talk to the IRS anymore when you're representing me.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, you don't want to do it yourself, and you want to have a professional, whether it's me or someone else. I wouldn't recommend a national company, but there's someone who's going to be communicating with you, who's the actual person doing the resolution. I'm the power of attorney as your agent, just like if you were being sued and I was filing an appearance in court, I represent you. So now it's IRS representation, right? So it's all the same. You know what I'm saying? But it's not court. But
that just gives me such a peace of mind.
Yeah.
Knowing that you are handling my case.
Right. And then the IRS is happy to have someone handling the case, because they know the professionals who qualify to handle it. They know that we know what we're supposed to be doing and what the game is, and documents and different streamline programs, whatever it is, and negotiating the proper way. on the facts. And if you go to different hearings or go up the food chain on appeals, you have to go to U.S. tax court. I can do tax court for you. A lot of people can't. But the IRS will resolve it. They just want to collect the money that they can. And that's one thing people don't always realize, because if you ignore them, they assume you have it all. They're going to put the liens on, levies. A lien is putting a security interest on the federal tax lien on your property, right? Now you can't sell it. You can't do this and that. A levy is where they're taking the cash out of your account, they're going to take it. Now, if they take it, there's a way to get it back, depending, right? More complicated, because now you're down the food chain a little
Right.
more. Try to call us before you get the liens. But also, if let's say, get a lien, I mean, we can get in the case. The first thing we want to do is tell the IRS, with the power of attorney, we're getting into the case. Let's get a little, maybe 30 days, ask for collection hold. I represent, Mr. Jones, whatever, let's get the information to you. Let's see what we're doing. How about a collection hold, right? Or if you got liens, depending on the situation, we can try to get them released, right? And there's certain times the IRS will be happy to release the lien. I mean, first of all, if you got a hardship that you really can't make your basic needs, they're going to release the lien. If it helps them get paid, they'll release the lien. Or they'll subordinate the lien. Or you can buy the lien out, but maybe the lien's only on partial, it's only got X value. Or maybe they got liens on properties, that happens a lot, that has no value. So what's the point, right? So we could prove
Can you get a tax lien taken off a bank account, a checking account?
So they'll be leaving, they'll levy your account, right?
Levy.
The lien is the security interest. The levy is taking it, right? So we want to stop the levy, right? Or if you've been levied, can we get it back? And that's a whole different discussion. Sometimes you can't. But that's a whole different process again, and you're down the food chain more. But the point is, whatever your situation is, we are equipped to handle, okay, to the best of our ability, right? Because what are your options, the pros and cons of each? And everyone's situation is different, right? I mean, even though it's generally the same, I owe tax to the IRS. But, one person may say, you got the 12 cents on the dollar offering compromise. Well, great. That doesn't mean you're getting that, because that's their situation on their cash flows, on their reasonable ability to pay based upon their assets, based upon our negotiation with the IRS. And also, it depends on how much they owe. I mean, the more you owe and the less you pay, the lower the percentage is. You know what I'm saying? So if you're paying $10,000 to the IRS and you owed $100,000, that's a 10 cents on the dollar settlement. But if you're paying $10,000 and you owe 20, that's 50%. It's still 10 grand. So sometimes the lower amount is a little misleading because you owe more. The bottom line is the 10 grand in my example that's the cash flow analysis and the reasonable ability to pay in this example that we agree with the IRS. So 10 grand is what you pay, whether you owe 10 grand, 20 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand. So,
And if they hire you, Kevin, they're going to work with you directly. And I bring that up because I've seen online where people went with these big companies that you're just a number to. And one of the things they all say is customer service was horrible.
Right.
You will actually be working with them.
Yeah, you're going to talk to me. So if you call my office or go online or schedule an appointment, if you call the office, someone's answering the phone, they may ask you some basic questions. I give them a list, basic information before you get on the phone with me. Also to schedule a time with me, right? So we know kind of what's going on. But then we'll set a time where I'm doing the intake, not my. Someone may answer the phone, ask some questions, but they're not analyzing you for anything. They're just getting some questions from me. How much you owe, what tax years have you filed? Is there a lien? Just things the client can answer. They say yes or no. I don't know. It takes 5 minutes, right? So I have a little idea.
Too good to be true. I heard an ad today. It was an ad. Said someone owed $300,000 to the IRS, and he got off paying only $100. Is that true?
Well, is it true in that guy's case? I don't know. Can that happen?
I mean, can that happen?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, 5 minutes ago, that's what I was talking about. It's the exercise in cash flows. Maybe it's off, maybe $100 was the settlement. So it's resolving your ability to pay based upon your assets, liabilities, your exceptions, and stuff like that, and with the cash flow analysis. So forget about how much you owe. What's our number? So if the number's $100,000 of your ability to pay, but you only owe $20,000 to the IRS, you're paying it all. You know what I'm saying? If it's reversed, you're only paying $20,000, whether you owe $20,000, 40, 100, or 200. So if the number, see, the IRS is not worried about, hey, it's 2 cents on the dollar or whatever it is. They're worried about what's my collectability, because their job, they're mandated to resolve the issues, but also to accept the reasonable ability to pay, because you only have what you have.
Yes.
So it's a numbers game, right? And the overall amount, it makes it good look on paper, or if someone gives me a testimonial, Kevin settled for 3 cents on the dollar. Well, okay, thank you. But it's just it could have been 100%, but it's just whatever the number is. I'm saying. So to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. And that's what people say. Open the mail, call me. People, it's a big weight, and obviously the IRS are their heavyweights, right? So that's the biggest, baddest collection agency coming after you. I get it, right? Get a professional on there, but understand, if you can't pay it all, people are like, how am I going to, the rest of my life, no, it's not that bad. Criminal side, if you're in the criminal division or committed fraud, then I can still help. But I'm talking civil, right? You just owe the money. You don't have the ability to pay all of it. Or if you don't have the ability to pay any of it, in that guy's example, $300,000, if you qualify for a currently non-collectible status, your payment to the IRS on a monthly basis for a certain period is zero. And now they're off your back. No one's leaning in, no one's troubling you.
Kevin, give everybody your phone number and your website.
Info at nobletaxrelief.com. You can email us. The website is nobletaxrelief.com. The phone number, the Chicago number, 312-489-8000. 312-489-8000. Nobletaxrelief.com. And again, I'll be the one you'll talk to. I'm not going to answer the phone, but I'll be the one who'll be resolving your issue and talking to you. I'll be on the power of attorney with the IRS. And as I'm talking to the IRS with my clients, we have our own status meetings and situations. And I may have
we're so lucky to have you. We've run out of time. Have a Merry Christmas. You'll be back again with us next month with more Ask the Experts. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Bye-bye.
And that's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.